around 5 or 6 months old, I noticed a lot of differences. She would make eye contact and everything, but she was very quiet. She wasn't really interested in playing with toys or anything. She would just kind of stare. And as she would get older, my oldest daughter would try to play with her, and like she would laugh with her, but it was more like side by side play versus like actually playing with her. And when it came to like toys, she didn't really care about the toys. She'd be like playing with like my utensils or boxes that the toys came in. And I noticed like when she would fall or get hurt, she would cry. And that was a red flag because my oldest daughter, she was like the biggest crybaby every little fall. So when I had taken her in the first time, it was around, she was 5 or 6 months, and I asked her pediatrician if she thought that she would maybe be autistic, and she's like, oh no, like she's fine, she makes that contact, so she's fine. And that's kind of how it went up until she was about 2 years old. When she turned 1, that's when like all of the tantrums started happening, where it was just constant screaming, crying, and when we would take her in the car, like even if it was like a 5-minute drive, she would just be screaming the whole time. And I would feel so bad because I would try to calm her down, but then she would be like her out, or she would be like hitting herself. So I kept going back and went back to her pediatrician, and she's like, okay, I'll set you up with a psychiatrist and see her diagnosed. That was when she was 3, and we took her to him, and he misdiagnosed her, and he told us that she had something called pervasive development disorder, and he told us that she would grow out of it by the time she was 4. So at that time, we're like, oh, okay, like maybe she would grow out of it. But then by the time she was 4, like I felt like things were getting worse for her. And so I took her back to her pediatrician, and I said, no, I don't think she has this, because when I look it up, like the pervasive development disorder, they don't even diagnose kids with that anymore. Like, and she doesn't fall under like that category. So she's like, okay, well, like we can just figure out what she has, and if you want, like you could be placed on a waiting list with you to see if she can get diagnosed. So I was like, okay, let's just see if you can figure it out yourself. And then she ran a few like tests, and then she's like, oh, like, I'm pretty sure your daughter has bipolar disorder. Like she's not sleeping well, like you said, like I can put her on this medication, and she's just trying to give us a lot of medication, like to keep her calm and not have so many tantrums. But I wasn't comfortable with giving my daughter medication, especially they were like actual pills, not like the kids that cut this in half and just feed it to her with yogurt or something. I can't do that right now. And so it was pretty rough trying to figure out exactly what she had. But I think after that interaction with her pediatrician, I didn't trust like healthcare providers. So I was like, okay, put me on the waiting list. So we waited like about 2 years, and they finally got us in. And the second they looked at her, like, okay, we're just gonna run a test. They did a test with a balloon, and they gave her a balloon, and like not even 5 minutes into it, I'm pretty sure she's on the spectrum, but let's just keep on running tests. Yeah. And so when they had finally diagnosed her, they diagnosed her with level 3s, which is the most severe. But the interesting thing is that we were told that she would most likely just be nonverbal for the rest of her life and not be able to talk. I don't know, for me, like I know kids on the spectrum are different, but I didn't accept that. And I didn't accept that, so I felt like a burden was lifted off of me, but at the same time, like it was very hard for me not to compare her to my oldest daughter, because all of a sudden I was having thoughts of like, okay, like maybe she will never have the experience to be able to go to school, like she won't be able to drive, she won't be able to have friends or be invited to birthday parties how is that gonna affect her? Because I felt like um, came to my oldest daughter's birthday, like tons and tons of family would drop off presents, gifts, and everything. But with my daughter's Hannah, like like she's kind of forgotten. And I know she probably doesn't remember this, but that was really hard to accept seeing how I treated my oldest daughter versus my middle daughter. Yeah, so the wait list we waited up to 2 years. Finally get in, and during that 2 years, I honestly thought that I was going to. My daughter, she would be crying, and I would be crying with her because I just felt so helpless. Like I could not figure out how to help her, especially since she wasn't talking. And I felt like I couldn't really talk about it with my family members because, like, as far as I was concerned, no one else had ever had to deal with that. And they would just tell me, like, oh, like, she just needs to be more socialized. You just need to bring her out more, like, just let her cry, just let her cry. And, like, I would take her to stores and just, like, the looks people would give her, like, the comments, like, oh, like, do your job and be a mom. Like, it was really hard. So I felt like I kind of just took her away from everything, and like I would just stay home. Like when my family would have family functions, like, why are you coming in? And they're like, no, like, I don't want to do that. And I feel like when I think back about it, I feel so bad that like I did that to her, but I feel like I just didn't know any better. I just didn't know. I think at the time I really like I did care about what other people would say about her. And so I think that's why when we finally got the diagnosis and it was confirmed that she was on the spectrum, like it was just like a burden that was lifted off me. It's like, oh my gosh, like I'm not crazy. Like I knew there was something. And that's when they told me like, oh yeah, like it's harder to diagnose girls specifically because all the data that we have on autism is done on boys, and girls are a lot better at masking. Um, just copying what other people are doing versus boys. Okay, that makes sense. I can see that. But I think after she was diagnosed, like, my husband and I were relieved, but then came a whole different like stress because now we're like, okay, like what is autism? Like what is this autism spectrum? How can we educate ourselves so that we can be like the best advocates for our daughter? And so that was a whole learning process. And wasn't just like with me and my husband, it was also with my oldest daughter, and she's only a year older than Tay. So at the time it was kind of hard because like when Tay would be crying and screaming, like my oldest daughter, she would be crying too because she felt so bad for her sister. She would tell me all the time, she was like, like her crying, like I love her so much, but I feel so stressed out. I feel so sad seeing her like that. Like, why is she crying? And it's just hard for me and my husband to kind of explain to her, like, oh, like your sister's different. She is different, but like, don't treat her like she's different. So we had my husband and I had to figure out, like, okay, how can we help Tay, but at the same time, like, make sure our oldest daughter's needs are being taken care of and she doesn't feel like she's being pushed to the back burner. I cannot tell you times I have lost sleep, the amount of tears I have cried, but my husband has always been so supportive. He's always been my rock, and he's always the one who's like to move forward. And sometimes, like when I get into my own head and like I don't think she should go, he's always the one that's like, give her a chance. Like you never know. Like, and even if she hates it, like we'll try again. You know, maybe next year. He's been amazing, and he's been really good with her. Honestly, I feel like my daughter probably favors him more. I definitely lucked out because I feel like we definitely like lean on each other a lot when it comes to figuring out what we can do to help. not positive. So when we told them, like the first thing was like, oh, like that's from your husband's side. Oh, like that comes from my husband's side of the family, or like what is that? Like, well, that's probably from vaccines, and just like trying to place blame on anything. Or oh, like maybe it's because you let her watch TV too much, or maybe it's because you let her play on an iPad, like just things like that. And because I was still learning, like it made me like, oh, like maybe it is because like she watches too much TV, or like, it is because I'm not like playing with her enough. But finally, like my husband like sat me down. He can't say like that it's because of those things. You're not the one that's doing anything wrong. It was hard, and I think my family realized, like my siblings, they realized like the comments that they were making that they didn't think was hurtful was actually hurting me. I think that's when they're like, oh, okay, like let's figure out how we can help her. And I remember we went up to my brother's cabin once, and we took Tay, and my brother was like, oh, like Tay, come here, come give me a hug. And his wife was like, no, like wait, I think you should wait until she comes up to you, and don't force her, because I read somewhere like they don't want to be like, if they don't want to be touched, like it's gonna trigger her. And to me, I was like, oh wow, like that's love. Like thank you for actually like doing some sort of your own personal research. So I think after that, like my siblings slowly like they kind of got it. Like they were able to like do their own little research without me asking, and that meant the world to me, because just knowing that like my siblings had my back, um, it goes a long way for sure. And we actually had an interaction with one of my brother's neighbors. Um, my daughters are playing with their cousins in the backyard, and they're on the trampoline, and my daughter Tay, she got hurt, and she was crying, and sometimes when she cries, it can be a little dramatic, it's loud, like she's screaming, and the neighbor texted my brother and said something like, oh, like sounds like someone got hurt, and like my brother was so protective and was like, you better watch what you say. My niece, like she's on the spectrum, like leave her alone. But then he had to go back and apologize because my daughter actually broke her foot. Just knowing that like my siblings have my back, like even against like people that they know, like their neighbors that they've known for years, like I love that, like knowing that they love my daughter as much as I do, like it brings some sort of peace, because for a long time I was worried, you know, I was like, okay, like you were to my husband, like who's gonna take care of her? Like they're not gonna want her because she's hard to take care of. But like now, like I know like my siblings would 100% step up for her. Honestly, I feel like with us being Polynesian, mental health was not talked about at all. So there was a time in high school where like I was struggling a lot with depression, kind of like oh in your head, like you want to be happy, be happy. Okay, well, and like I said, like before, like I don't think I ever like saw autism in my family, and if I did, I probably didn't even recognize it. But when it came to like those sort of things, it wasn't talked about at all. It was more of like a disability that you can't see. Like those were the ones that were actually talked about, and like I still hear it all the time with my daughter. Like, oh, like she doesn't look autistic. And like, what does autism look like to you guys? Because like, yeah, like sometimes I have to like tell myself to just relax when I hear that comment. I'm like, oh, she doesn't look autistic. Like she looks fine to me. Like I feel like every time I hear that, I'm like, well, if you would spend more than 5 minutes with my daughter, like you would understand instead of just making assumptions based off of what she looks like. So I feel like if you have someone in your family who's autistic, you're better at recognizing those traits in other autistic people. So I don't know. I think my culture has definitely made it harder to talk about because I feel like every time I would bring it up, it was always met with negativity, or like I wasn't doing my job as a mother. And so I think that also goes along with like mental health. Like Polynesians just did not want to address it or talk about it. Like they don't want to admit that something is wrong. So I feel like when it came to like, culturally, like I feel like there was no support unless there was like another Polynesian that I reached out to, because they also have an autistic child. But there was a Facebook group that I found that was like Pacific Alliance. I joined them, and it was really nice because it's just like all Pacific Islanders who also have family members that are on the spectrum, and they're very supportive. And sometimes I'll go on there and ask them questions. Nice because I would get answers that weren't like biased or judgmental, like versus if I were to ask someone like in my family, not like my immediate family, but just like my extended family, then I would get like, oh, like she doesn't need that, she's fine, she's okay. And I'm like, well, I never said she wasn't okay. That was always told to me. Oh, like don't worry about Tay, she's fine. What is that even? I'm trying to find extra support and help her. Like, oh, like she'll be good. She doesn't look like she's autistic. Like, it doesn't make any sense. You guys talk about her like there's like actually something wrong with her. So I'm like the one confused, and it confuses them because they're like, no, like I think there's something wrong with her. I'm like, no, like I mean there is, but it's not like the way that you guys think how she is. People just need to educate themselves. Always have to educate you guys like over and over again, just so that you guys can be decent people to my daughter. So now, with certain family members, like if I don't talk to them, that's why. I just realized like I just can't keep having the same conversation over and over again of them telling me why they think she has autism and why what I'm doing isn't working. So it just kind of got to the point where, like, okay, if that's how you feel, then that's how you feel. But feel that from a distance. Like, I just wish that they knew that autism looks different on everybody. It doesn't actually have like a certain look, like Down syndrome or something. It's something that they have to actually sit and observe to be able to understand a little bit. I feel like just them knowing that would be so helpful. Like after my daughter was diagnosed, it definitely changed my perspective. Like when I would go to the store and I would see a mom with crying kids, like it's not gonna lie, before I was like, oh my gosh, like your kid to stop crying. But after like experiencing that with my own daughter, like I make sure like to make eye contact and smile at the mom, because I don't want her to do what I did and feel like she had to take her kids and hide from the world. And my advice would be, honestly, don't listen to anybody. Like if you feel like this is right or this is wrong for your child, be the best advocate that you can for them, because you're the only person who can do that for your child. And there are so many resources out there for autism that I don't think people realize that there are. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help, because I know the struggle is real. And before I was afraid to ask for help, like I was embarrassed. But now, like every time I hear about like a resource that my daughter can maybe benefit from, I'm like on it. Like, okay, let's try this. So I think that would be my advice, is just look for resources, because you'll find a whole new community and support. And I think if you don't have that within your own family, like that, those other support groups, like they'll have your back. Because I feel like as an autism mom, like if you know, you know. So she will be going into second grade. So when we first put her in school, in kindergarten, I was terrified. And the principal actually called me, because he was like, oh, like I saw that you started the process of registering Tejana, but it doesn't look like you finished it. And I was like, well, I don't know, like if she's gonna do well in school, you know. Like, and at the time, like she was still in diapers, and I just was like, I don't think she can, so maybe she won't be able to go to school. But her school was amazing. Oh no, like we will accommodate her, like whatever. Like, the only thing is like we have to be able to observe her for a certain amount of time to be able to put together an IEP plan for her. So I agreed, and I was like, okay, but we went in and sat with the principal, and I told him, like, I do not feel comfortable, like, my daughter isn't talking, so, like, if something happens, like, how will I know, like, if I'm not there? And he told me, he's like, oh, we don't have, a trained teacher for her, but they actually went and hired one just for her, so they did that, and okay, like let's just try to have her go to school like for a certain amount of time every day and just slowly increase that time. So when she first started, she was only going to school for 10 minutes, like every day for like 2 weeks. It's just 10 minutes, like, and I would just be sitting there in the office just waiting for her. And like, she really hated it, but it went from 10 minutes to 15 minutes, 30 minutes to an hour, and then like last year, like all of a sudden, she's just at school for the whole amount. Yeah, and it's been really amazing for me and my family because we were told that she wouldn't ever, you know, talk. They actually had her do like speech therapy in school and everything, and she can talk a lot now, probably more than I'd like, but she picks up on things, and like I know because I say that probably on the daily, like she will say that now, like every little inconvenience I can hear her, like she'll drop something. What the hell? So now I'm like, okay, maybe I need to be more mindful of what I'm saying to myself, even if I feel like it's just under my breath, like she can hear me. Yeah, she loves school, and I think school was another resource that actually helped her a lot. Like I said, they actually went out of their way and hired people to help her, like different aides, and like she did speech therapy in school, and she can actually read now. I I couldn't see like a future for her. Like I couldn't see her going to school or having friends or things like that. But I think after experiencing life with her a little bit, like now I understand like it's gonna be different. But with Tay, it's more of like a like tomorrow might be different, but like as if she can't do it now, like it doesn't mean she can't do it forever. And I think that's something like I want other, you know, autistic parents to know. It's like if someone tells you that your child can't, like don't be so quick to accept that. Like because really these kids are so smart of you really just never know. You never know. I'm LDS, and in the beginning with my daughter, I really struggled because I would hear comments from family members saying, oh, she doesn't talk yet because you haven't blessed her yet. Oh, like, she doesn't talk yet because you don't go to church. Like, oh, she's getting sick because you don't go to church. And I think at the time, just because I don't think my testimony at the time was strong enough for that, I kind of turned away from the church. And it made me feel like, oh, like, maybe, like, I'm being punished for, like, my past sins or something. But yeah, at the time I really struggled. But one thing that always made me go back to church was just prayer. I felt like every time I would struggle with my daughter, I would just like say a quick prayer, and even if it was like small or something, like it was always met with comfort. And last month, my family and I actually had the opportunity to go to the temple and get sealed. I feel like just having faith to keep on going, that's what's been helping me a lot. And I think I've also learned how to not care what people think. Because now, like, my daughter, like, when she's excited, she'll, like, yell or she'll laugh really loud. And like when we get stares at the store, like I'd be staring right back at them. Like now I just don't care because like I feel like my daughter deserves to have her space in this world too, even if that looks a little different. Like I am not afraid to just, speak up for her, because I realize, like, if I don't speak up for her, like, who will? And I don't want her to grow up feeling like she didn't have someone, like, who actually had her back.